How do I get started with small groups? How do I make my small groups better? How do I know if my small groups are working? Our motto is group smarter, not harder. Hey sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maylene Call from Mrs. Call's Campers. If you're new here, I'm a first grade teacher in Las Vegas, and we are going to be talking about three of my favorite things today: small groups, data, and ESGI. I have used ESGI since my first year teaching. I've been working with them for a long time. So thank you so much to ESGI for sponsoring this video so I can share with you how I collect data and how I use it to form my small group. When we talk small groups with students, what we're talking about is their most pressing need, what they need to move forward in their reading, in their phonics skills when you have the data. So how do you get the data? You could sit there with a student and do one-on-one paper assessments that look something like this. Or you give a student a section of the assessment that you are doing and they follow along and they are overwhelmed, and you're sitting there and you mark it on your paper and you circle it and you make notes, and then it lives in a binder. Or you can use code Mrs. Call to create a free trial with ESGI. You'll save yourself some money and you can get in there and play around and see if it's something that's worth it to you. ESGI is a tool to monitor your students' progress throughout the entire year, and the core of what they're doing is really helping you use your data, not just see your data. So this video is all about data because you are probably already collecting data on your students now, but you can do it faster. The data can be at your fingertips. You can analyze individual students or the whole class, and it is the easiest way to help you move forward, differentiate, and help your students. The assessments that I'm doing with my kids are so much faster using ESGI. I am sure by now you have seen me assess my students. They have their own screen. The only thing that they see is what I want them to read. If we are working on blends, they're not going to see 30 words with blends. They're seeing the one word I want them to read, and if they get it, I mark yes on my screen. If they miss it, I mark no on my screen. They cannot see it. We're moving really, really quickly. Read the word next, read the word next, read the word next. It saves so much time. Not only that, but I teach first grade, so a lot of my kids, especially at the beginning of the year, they don't necessarily have the stamina to sit there and do a lot of testing. But if I'm doing it on ESGI, wherever the student leaves off, I can just hop in and pick it up next time. So I can pull a student, work with them for 2 or 3 minutes, let them go, bring them back another time, and it picks up exactly where we left off, which is also great because if you're testing a student and they get 6 out of 10 words, and then a week or so later, you only want to test them on the words they missed, ESGI can do that for you automatically. For me, it also feels like it's just a lot lower stakes for the student because you're not sitting there with a pencil and paper scribbling things. It feels a lot more low pressure for the little ones. I'm sure you are already investing time in testing your students one-on-one. You're going to save time there. But also the moment that you are done, the instant you are done, you immediately get tons of graphs and reports that are going to help you. You'll have a student detail that'll give you a pie chart. It'll give you their progress over time. It'll give you a breakdown of what they missed and what they got correctly. You can send that home with families. There's family reports so that they know exactly what their child is working on, why they have the grade they have, how they can help them at home. It creates flashcards automatically. There are so many benefits as soon as you're finished with the test that you will get instantly. There's 2 reports that I really love in ESGI. The first one is the student detail, which, like I said, gives you all the information for the student, easy to print and go or send home. The second one is the item analysis, which makes your entire class's learning visible and easy to see. You can sort it by what your students know the most of versus the least of. If you're in kindergarten, for example, and you're doing letters and sounds, you can see which sound your kids know the best. You don't have to spend time on that sound anymore. You can see which sound overall your class is missing the most, and you can sprinkle that in now a lot more because it's easy to see. First grade, we're doing a lot of short vowels, blends, digraphs, variant vowels, diphthongs, all of those complex multisyllabic words. If you create an account right now, you can try these tests. You can play around with them, see if you like them, see the data that you get from them. Your school might have something that you're already using. I am going to leave some suggestions in the description box for tests that you can import into ESGI. In the past, I've used Core Phonics. Right now, we're using the Phonics Screener for Intervention, or the PSI, which is this that I was showing you guys. Best part is you don't have to type any of that and put it in. It is already in there for you. Just about every single screener that you are going to want for your children is already in ESGI. So it takes no work for you. Everything is already there. So if you're prepping for something, you don't have to print hundreds of pages anymore. You don't have to go through and organize a whole binder. You just click add test and you can give it to all of your students. And I think the beauty of ESGI is everything in there is exactly what you want. If you want the phonics screener for intervention, you got it. Counting to 120, you got it. Just blends, you got it. Phonemic awareness, you got it. It's only what you need at any given time. So you can start very simple, or you can put every single standard into ESGI. You can also get your grades from ESGI. Yeah. I have 5 main categories currently in my ESGI, and it is for phonics, phonemic awareness, foundational math skills, writing, and sight words. Under phonics, I have the phonics screener for intervention, which breaks it down by skill. Phonics, I am assessing one-on-one with students, everyone at the beginning of the year, and then as needed to track progress, and that is what's helping me make my small groups throughout the year. Phonemic awareness is really helpful for a lot of your lower students who need those foundationals before they even move into their phonics skills, so you can see their deficits. If you're wondering, oh, why are they struggling with blends? That's why. Sight words is another really useful one, and that's great to have parent support from at home. I plan on having a volunteer actually come in and test my students on their sight words using ESGI, so they can just pull them aside and they can mark yes or no for them, and all that data is immediately given back to me. So that's going to save me time having a parent volunteer do sight words, but then I can take those reports every month or so and send it to parents and say, hey, your kid mastered these sight words. These are the ones that they should practice. And I can give them flashcards too, because ESGI makes them for you. For foundational math skills, I have things like counting to 120. So whenever I test students, I just put, okay, they got up to 89 this time, and I can see the highest number that they got to without messing up. All of that is stored. So I can see progress over time. Maybe they got to 39. Maybe in 2 months they got to 79. And ESGI also lets you create rubrics. So if you are grading students from a writing rubric, you can customize one in ESGI for opinions, for narratives, for how-to writing, and all of that can be stored in there. And again, you can get your grades. You do need something to be able to track and place where students belong. Some of you may have a decodable series, some of you may have a curriculum for small groups, or a set of decodables maybe, or maybe you've purchased it from Teachers Pay Teachers. No matter what you use, you can import this into ESGI. And here's why you want to, because if I was to test a student like this on pencil and paper the typical way, I would have the total number that got correct for a certain category, and I could say, okay, this is the category that this student specifically needs the most help in, but I can't see it or compare it with the rest of the class. I'm a very visual person and I love data, but when I look at the typical paper assessments and have to look through and see like which one did they miss here and which one did this kid miss, or are they working on the same skill? You don't have to do any of that. It's really easy to see which students need what, and I don't have to flip through an entire binder and compare different students by eye. My suggestion for you is if you have a decodable series or something that you may be following for your small groups, use that, upload it to ESGI. But if not, you can just search phonics screener for intervention or core phonics, and the tests are already made for you. You don't have to buy any materials. Everything you need is there. You'll get an accurate picture of where to start your students and what they're going to need next. So you can figure out where they fall in terms of phonics, whether they're working on short vowels or digraphs, but you can also access tests that are already preloaded. Either way, you're going to save time, whether you create your own lists or you use lists that are already uploaded, and I can guarantee you're going to find anything that you might need already in the library for you. Once you've assessed all of your students, all of those graphs are easily accessible to you in ESGI, and you can pull your groups, work on the small group for a couple of weeks, and then you can assess them and see if you need to move from there. And I just want to stress again how helpful this is, because there are graphs that show over time. So if you've been working on a skill with a student for 2 weeks and you're not seeing growth, and 3 weeks and you're not seeing growth, it could mean that there's something else going on, and you can bring this to your intervention team, which that's another really great point, is if you have a para or someone coming in and working with your students, they can assess that individual group of students and you'll get the data instantly. And if you do end up having a student that you have concerns for, the great thing about all of your data being in ESGI and it being the exact data that you need, again, nothing else to filter through, is that it is portable. You can bring it to your RTI team, you can bring it to your admin. Everything is really easy to see, and you can get a picture on the student having never sat down with them. All you have to do is click on their name and their entire report will show up. So the student detail report is great just to see overall a picture of the student. You can then again share that report with families, or you can share it with somebody at your school. And then the item analysis report in ESGI is going to help you see where the deficits are and which students need what skill for your grouping. Once you see what students need what skill for your reading small groups, you can actually group them in ESGI, and you can track their progress as a group, which makes it really easy to see, okay, this student is actually ready to move into a different group. And that's one of the biggest tips that I have for small groups in general, is keeping them flexible. So if you're tracking their data, you're able to move them where they need to go. So if they are working on blends and there is a student in that group who, you know, they've mastered blends, you test them, they read all the words that have blends, maybe let's move them up to the next group. And you can move them in ESGI, or you can keep them there to keep monitoring their progress. You could even have them in multiple groups at one time. Our motto is group smarter, not harder. So you can see exactly what students need, you can move them. And it's perfect for if you're doing small group reading or if you're doing math too. I'm focusing really heavily on reading during this, but it can also be used for math. I get teachers asking me all the time, how do I get started with small groups? How do I make my small groups better? How do I know if my small groups are working? Data. I would love to help you get started with ESGI so your life can be easier too, so you can save time on your paper assessments, so you can see exactly what your kids need, so you can communicate to families, and so you can get a clear picture on how effective your teaching is overall and what the next step is. I would love for you to be more confident in your teaching and in your small groups. So in the next few videos, I'm going to show you how I divide groups, how I determine how often to meet with them, when to meet with them, what the other kids are doing when I'm polling that small group, resources for small groups, how I plan for small groups, how I'm observing and formatively assessing those small groups, how to keep them flexible and effective. But all of those things depend on the data that I'm getting from my students. So go ahead and create an account with ESGI, play around with it. Let me know if you have specific questions that I can help you with, and I'm here to help if you need anything. Thank you so much. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe and join the family down below. Leave a comment. Let me know if you currently use ESGI or if you have questions. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.